Yeah. I already know. It's your boy Mac Mizzle, the host of the most. Don't need to brag no boast. All I do is give a toast to the real folks who done paved the way in the real way for us players to play. And yeah, man, we got to go through this, man. You know what I'm saying? They say the coronavirus has a vaccine now and everything's supposed to be all right and everybody's supposed to be all nice. But for Canadians, I feel like this is a point in time in history where we really need to open our third eyes and see what's going down in the world, see what type of plots they're trying to perpetrate to keep us further marginalized and subjugated. So when I went through it, I asked myself, damn, it made so much sense because who else would they try to push a vaccine on and they're just gonna accept it like that, But Canadians. So I was watching this little thing. I was watching this video I put out on Facebook. This is a regular white boy American guy, you know what I'm saying? Talk about how Canadians won't be able to withstand certain measures because they're not thinking like free people, We're thinking more like hamsters on a wheel. And when we start thinking like that, that's when it becomes really damaging to us, Because we weigh more than that. So I want to just play this news. On why Canada needs to be well, they really ain't news, but you know what I'm talking about. Sort of, kind of news. So let me break it down to y'all real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all gonna like this right here. Y'all gonna like it a lot. We all gonna ask ourselves, why are they dealing with Canada like this? We should be way more in tune with what's going on in the world. Let's show that we're a brave society and we won't go for tyranny, But I guess not. I guess Canada got to deal with a whole lot of bullshit.
Going on today in the different provinces.
Listen to this. In terms of when Canada is going to get the COVID vaccine and why it should be a problem for us, you know what I'm saying? Because if they wait a little longer, that means affecting something in the vaccine that's going to have a long-term effect. Let's just take a look at this and see what type of plots they're on.
And of course, questions for the Trudeau government as well about the deployment of vaccines and this new announcement on a therapeutic drug. Let's bring in CTV's Evan Solomon, the host of Power Play Question Period. Hey, Evan, good to see you.
Yeah.
Hey, Todd. Okay, let's ask the First question here about therapeutic drug and the efforts to procure this drug from Eli Lilly.
Yeah, there is a war to get all these things, and Justin Trudeau and like all leaders are trying to get either a vaccine or this Eli Lilly therapeutic drug to treat people of this. As you know, cases are spiking all over. But Todd, this is playing into a larger question that the Prime Minister raised today. He raised it about vaccines, and it will have to do with therapeutics as well, which is Canada does not have a domestic supply. And the Prime Minister was very clear today. He mentioned it a number of times. Since we no longer have a domestic supply of pharmaceuticals, Cannot Laboratories closed a long time ago, we have to rely on other countries. And Justin Trudeau said, obviously, those countries are going to serve their populations first. But there was kind of a collective, did he just say that? In other words, we know as Health Canada, the government has confirmed how many doses from, whether it's a therapeutic or whether it's Pfizer or whether it's Moderna or whether it's any of the 6 or 7 vaccines that Canada purchased, Todd. We know that we're going to get some. The question is, when are we going to get them? They said the first quarter of the year, but are we going to get all the doses? And is the Prime Minister softening up the ground for a moment when Canadians are going to look maybe in the United States or in England or in Germany where they have domestic supplies? Those people are going to start getting vaccines in the early part of 2021. And Canadians will be waiting for their dose. So, there's an access and there's a distribution side of this, Todd. We thought we were winning on the access, and to be fair to Justin Trudeau, we were. Canada has bought more doses per capita than I think any other country in the world. The question is, when are we going to get them? And the Prime Minister today clearly was saying, access is still a battle. We may not get them till their domestic supplies are done there. And there's going to be tremendous pressure on him to clarify that as to when any of these things, whether it's a vaccine or a therapeutic, is going to actually arrive in Canada to help Canadians. And suddenly that's a big question mark.
Yeah, I'm also curious to get your read on the government coming under fire in question period and elsewhere over the following. Why did they not try to come up with some sort of a makeshift domestic production capacity over the last 8 months? It may not have been perfect, may have been a patchwork, but at least there would have been something. I mean, is that at all realistic? Is that a fair question?
Look, there's a question why we let a public vaccine developer die off, but it was a long time ago. Cannot Labs, which existed for 60 years, is no longer part of the system. These are multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical companies that are developing these vaccines. The idea that Canada could kind of start from scratch and develop our own vaccine production is just not the way it works. And I've spoken to, as I'm sure you have, a lot of medical researchers on this. And even the vaccines that these companies are developing are based on the work that they've done for many years before. This is not a let's start from scratch and try to invent a vaccine. So Justin Trudeau said, look, in the future, we're going to have to think of that because this pandemic has reawakened us to the vulnerability of global supply chains, whether it's PPE or vaccines. But the idea that the Canadian government, when we're paying for businesses and paying to support people and buying other vaccines, is then going to get into the business run by the federal government of inventing vaccines, which is the core competency of Big Pharma and other places. Probably not realistic. It's a long time down the road. It's going to be very, very expensive, and probably more urgent on the triage of needs is how much pressure can Canada put on the contracts we've signed with these companies to make sure that they are obliged to give their customers, whether they're in their domestic situation or not, first crack at the doses they paid for. And I think there's going to be tremendous pressure, and imagine from the American government or any government to say, we want our people to be vaccinated first. Why not? But Canada signed contracts, we paid for these vaccines. The Canadian government's going to say, the law says you got to serve us. So this is a really interesting and tricky moment. And the debate about a domestic supply is an interesting one, and it's a good one. But that horse has not just left the barn, Todd. It's in another field, in another country that is so far down the road, it will have no impact on this particular vaccine. That's for the next crisis. This crisis is the fierce urgency of the now to get a vaccine.
Great to get your analysis as always, Evan. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
So what does that tell y'all right there? They don't want to give us a vaccine. But they do at the same time, you know what I'm saying? Because there's some people pushing back. But they want to do it in such a slick and sly way. Because they realize that in Canada, we don't really go for the fear tactic. Well, we go for the fear tactics, but we like to be intellectually duped as well. So, when it comes to this vaccine, as I was previously pointing out, this is what it comes down to. Basic knowledge and know-how of what's going on. This white boy right here, I said he was on point, you know, because he broke it down simple and plain. Shout out to some of y'all white boys, man. Y'all are on point about a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? We gotta tip our hat sometimes. Especially when we know certain shit is not supposed to be. But it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? I would never lie to myself when it comes to these type of things. Why would I lie to y'all? You know? So let's take a look at it. This is exactly how I feel too. White boy's on point. Let him break it down for y'all. Back, you know what I'm saying?
Need a mask. The mask is about compliance because they know Canadians like to do what they're told. So they tell you have to wear a mask. Next, they're going to tell you have to contact trace. Then they're going to tell you have to take the vaccine. And because Canadians like to do what they're told, they're hoping that everyone just complies. And then guess what, kids? Once you take your vaccine, like a dumb person that doesn't know any better, they're going to tell you, sorry, the vaccine isn't as effective as we thought it was going to be. So now you still got to wear your mask, still got to get contact trace, still have all the restrictions and social distancing, and still take your vaccine. And then what did you get out of all of this? You got a whole year where you weren't allowed to travel. Your business was closed. It took your rights and freedoms. They forced the vaccine on you. And what happened? The same amount of people died. Everything is the exact same. And now they're going to put you back on lockdown and bring it all the way till July of next year so they can do the same thing again. Bring it from July, August, and September, getting you off lockdown, but just to bring you back on lockdown again. If you idiots haven't figured it out yet, it's a perpetual cycle that you never get out of. And it's a way to take your rights, your freedoms, close your business, take your wealth. Why? So you become dependent on government. Why? If you're independent, the government works for you like it's supposed to. If you depend on the government to give you a paycheck to feed your family every month because they closed your business on you, now the government doesn't work for you. The government rules you. So instead of a middle class, we have the government, upper class, and the lower class dependents that rely on the government to survive. In other words, we have a slave class. And that's what they're trying to do. It's that simple. All right. Thanks a lot, Chris.
See, it's that simple, man. They're trying to create a slave class within our society, you know. And once they have that implemented, they can do all sorts of things. You know what I'm saying? Play with your currency, the economy. But if we don't comply and we just do what we're supposed to do when it comes to just being a constructive, productive citizen, I say no. We will not comply. I mean, a 99.5% recovery rate is not bad. You know what I'm saying? And just we have to be more vigilant about how we take care of ourselves and what we do with our time and energy. Because that's what they're banking on, you know? Us losing our minds and becoming more dependent on the government, thus creating a perpetual cycle of impoverished communities. Or they're going to create a permanent underclass, like Homeboy said. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's get up out of this mental slavery and get back to where we need to be, which is on top of our game and we're out there in the field, speaking to the people, making knowledge born, always obtaining the most effective, the most compelling arguments when it comes to dealing with the system of racism, white supremacy. It's not about us losing our ground and anything like that. It's all about inches. It's a game of inches. So if we're all on code and we push it forward to the racist system, then we done. But if we lose ourselves trying to compete with everybody else that's a victim to the system, then we're going to succumb to its demise. Like the Titanic said, you want to go down with the ship? Go ahead. Just leave us black folks out of it. It's your boy Mac Mizzle. And you know my slogan. Keep it real in the field. Fuck how they feel. Come on.